Where do we go when we die? Is that the end of us? Is there really life after death? That's been a question that people have pondered for many centuries. Dannion Brinkley says he knows, and he is the author of the best-selling book, Saved by the Light, and the new best-selling book called At Peace in the Light. Dannion had a near-death experience where he actually died, and he's here to tell us about it today.
I've been in about every war zone that we've fought in the last 20 years. I've been there in the last 25 years. And so I'm not exactly a person who doesn't understand reality. I mean, I have a reality-based psychology, fighting in 4 war zones and doing operations in 24 countries. I never heard of a near-death experience, and I didn't know anything about it.
And you weren't that interested in spiritual issues. I mean, you described yourself in your book, your first book, as being a terrible bully.
Oh, I was.
And then
that.
you went out there to be a killer.
Mm-hmm.
So you weren't a preacher, so you're not coming to us with that God came down and gave you these wonderful messages. I mean, you were...
Like people say, you know, people say, Dannion, you're so important and you're so special, and I laugh and I said, think about this. God called me on the telephone, and the only burning bush I saw was me. So how important could I be? And you know, if someone would have walked up to me and asked me about the near-death experience before it happened to me, I probably would have pumped a couple of slugs in them just to see if they had one. That's the type of personality. I wasn't calm, I wasn't nice, I was very straightforward. I would watch you, I'd listen to you and figure out when I was going to take you out. And it's how I spent my entire life.
You said you like liquor and women.
Yeah, well, I liked women more than liquor, but you know, things like that happen. Mm-hmm. And I liked being a bully, and I liked dominating and pushing people around and intimidating people because it reinforced the behavior patterns that I became comfortable with. I'd come home from Nicaragua 3 days. I led 2 lives. I had my normal life in my little hometown, which I used as, I restored antique cars, and I worked within my family business, which gave me the freedom to roam the world whenever I needed to do a job. And I'd get the call, I'd be on the plane, boat, ship, or car, and I'd be about it. I'd come home. But I was home, I had my luggage there, I was talking to my wife, she was fixing dinner and watching television. And so I decided to go down the hall and call a friend of mine to help me with a car I was working on, a 32 LaSalle, and I needed his help. I'm sitting on my bed, holding the phone like this, just talking to him. It's just a fall day, September. It's nice, pleasant. You could hear a little thunder off in the distance, and I said, Tim, I got to get off the phone. And he said, okay. He said, why? And I said, well, you know, Mom never said to talk on the phone when it thunders and lightnings. He says, oh, Mr. Big Shot, Mr. Bully, here you are afraid and going to do what your mother says? And I stopped and thought a minute. I was hit in the neck by a bolt of lightning. It went down my spine. It welded the nails in the heels of my shoes to the nails in the floor. It knocks me in the air, suspends me in the air, and it slams me back down on the bed. To give you an impact of what kind of impact it was, I was dead for 28 minutes. I was completely paralyzed for 6 days. I was partially paralyzed for 7 months. It took me 2 years to learn to walk and feed myself, and I lost more than 60 pounds. But I'm burning and I'm on fire. I don't know which way to go. I don't know what's happening. And all I figured was it was my turn. For many a day and many a place in this world, I had come to get them. It was my time, and somebody had come to get me. I never thought about lightning. I thought it was a rocket grenade or Santax or C4 or C3 or a detonator.
So you thought someone had, you know, the first thought that came into your mouth is you had been assassinated.
It was my turn.
Yeah.
And all I could think of was Sandy, my wife. That's all I could think of. And if she was okay and what she was going through, I could not move. I couldn't do anything, and I'm burning, and I know I'm frightened, but a soldier reacts. No matter how afraid you are, and after so many years in combat, I knew what to do, I just couldn't. All of a sudden, I'm in a blue-gray place. I'm floating. I'm at peace. I could move. I'm comfortable. I still never heard of the near-death experience. I roll over and I see myself lying across the bed.
So you see your body down there.
I'm watching it. And what I'm about to describe is the procedure that every single person who's listening, this is the near-death experience, is how you leave this world. It's how you do it. And anybody who tells you other than that, that's a fool. And I don't care who it is. Why? I know. I have been through this. And I've been through this twice, not once. I had a second near-death experience 14 years later doing open heart surgery. But I'm watching this. The wildest thing that people are going to learn about being dead is how much more interesting things you find to be interested in. I mean, I was amazed at watching the energy reaction between people, and they were surrounded with fields of energy, and how wondrous these fields of energy were, and how everything radiated its own aura and its own hues. And now, as we speak, I was watching the people work on me. Sandy and then Tommy, who came over, and then the paramedics. They would communicate with each other. Their energy field would encompass another energy field.
What did it look like?
It was blues and reds and silvers and golds and pastels. And when you're talking, before you and I speak, our energy fields merge, and then the words come. And then your energy field comes, and then the words come. And it was just amazing to me. I watched them load me in the ambulance. I moved through the walls, and I'm watching the nails and the structure of how the house was built. And as I move into the walls, I come outside, and I see me, and the raindrops are hitting my face, and they're loading me in an ambulance. All of a sudden, I'm in this ambulance. Well, I'm behind the paramedic. I'm behind him, and he's working desperately on me. But I'd never been in an ambulance before. It was a truck. It wasn't like an ambulance like you see. It was a new style. It was a truck. And I was pretty amazed at all the neat little gadgets that they had in the ambulance. I wasn't really paying attention to what he was doing until he said, "He's gone. He's gone." And I remember looking over his shoulder and seeing myself and always thinking I was a much better looking guy than that.
That's cute.
Well, but it's what happened.
You're pretty
to me.
good looking, Danny.
But I was looking at that, and I had marks. I had no eyebrows, no fingernails. I had marks running down my neck and covering my body. The hair was burnt off of my body. And, you know, I said, "Wow, you're looking a little rough, Dan." This tunnel begins to form. And as this tunnel, remember, everything is peaceful. This is peaceful. It's such
So you had no emotion looking at all this activity?
The emotion of feeling when you're loved. The moment you lift out of that body, you're safe. No matter what anybody tells you. No matter what. When you start down that tunnel, when people ask me all the time, "Dannion, what's it like to go down this tunnel?" Imagine this. You're 7 years old. It's Christmas. You're going to grandmother's. Grandmother's rich. You're her favorite grandchild. Her name is Disney, and she lives in Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
And as you come up to the stoplight, it's stopped and it's red. When that light turns green, you turn left, turn right, and pull back up into the yard, and Grandma and Mickey's waiting for you. When that light turns green, that's what it feels like to go down that tunnel. You're almost there. You're going home. It's wondrous, powerful, peaceful. I heard these series of chimes. I come into this place of the most bright, brilliant, beautiful light conceivable. What I know now is as the powerful spiritual beings that we are, as we return to the other side, the only way we can acclimate ourselves to the true power of spirit is through this white, brilliant light. It is as though God is letting us know we're home safe. I'm looking around. This light is so brilliant, it becomes a part of me and I become a part of it. But I know I'm safe. As I watch this, all of a sudden, at a 45-degree angle from me, this being, a B-E-I-N-G, for those who don't understand Southern, a being.
A person.
Yeah, a being, a brilliant, beautiful being that put out rays of color.
Big, small?
Big. Well, you don't range the size. It was bigger than me. Mm-hmm. I'm 6'4", 225 pounds, so I guess I'd be big. But as this being didn't have a face, I never looked at that. I was too immersed in the energy it was producing, and it was communicating with me almost in a telepathic sense. But when you think about a big stadium, a big auditorium, and in this auditorium it's a hot day and you're inside and all the lights are out, and someone opens the door and steps into it, you see their silhouette, and the light floods in around them, and that's what you see. Mm-hmm. As this being came close to me, I have had what I believe to be the single most important aspect of the near-death experience, other than it happens. Panoramic life review. Everyone will have this. There was nothing unusual about me except that I got back here. But here's what will happen. You will start feeling all the childlike emotions. then you will literally have a panoramic life review.
Like a movie?
No.
It's not a movie?
No, it's interactive. You are there again. You are experiencing your own birth, every interaction with every person that you've ever had, every event, every point, every perspective, every event, and you're watching it from a third person. Now, I've often tried to figure out a way for people to think this. The only way that I, in my simple way, can say it is that you're going to judge yourself and watch these events from this point. And I'm not real religious yet, but I'm spiritual. Mm-hmm. People say, did you get religion? Nope. Did you get spiritual? A little bit. Well, what did you get? I got smart. You don't have to kill me but a couple of times and I'll figure it out. And so you will look at yourself from this point. If God couldn't show up today and God sent you in the events that you are about to watch, what difference did God make in the lives of the events that you're taking place? It's a heavy responsibility, but that's what we're doing here. If God couldn't show up today, and you had to be the difference that God made in these situations of what you're about to see, what difference did God make? But not only that, I literally became every person that I have ever encountered. I got to feel the direct results of my interaction. I got to feel the pain, frustration, humiliation, anger, anxiety that I had inflicted on thousands of people, not just a few people. What a jerk. And I can promise you this, it wasn't a good day for God that day. Because if I was supposed to make a difference, I can understand why fear and hatred and animosity toward what we think of why me, God, why me. I can see how people feel like that if I was to represent it. After that, I went more into the near-death experience than most people. I'm like one of 9 people that Dr. Raymond Moody.
Yeah, Raymond Moody, of course, is the great narrator of many, many death experiences.
He is the grandfather of it.
Yeah. And he cites you as being the one who had the most descriptive experience that came back.
Of over 20,000 that he's done.
Most people that you hear about who have had the near-death experience have talked about the tunnel and the light at the end and meeting someone they knew or someone who was very loving. But you actually went and you met a whole group of people who then taught you things.
After I had the panoramic life review, and I had to sit down and reflect what a complete jerk I was and what a failure I was as a spiritual being. We are not poor, pitiful, struggling humans trying to have mystical experiences. We are great and awesomely powerful and mighty spiritual beings trying to have human experiences, and we're just not real good at it yet, but we're attempting. That psychology must be in place. We must take that as the basis of how we look at ourselves so that we know how to open up. We can't keep looking at ourselves as struggling, stupid little humans. We can't, because it's just not, it's wearing too thin. It's not applicable. We are not that. And after this being came back to me, and I was safe. I was struggling with it. I don't have any problems telling anybody that when you face and see the opportunities that you have and the ability of what you're capable of doing, and as rotten and as lousy a job as I did, don't think that you don't have remorse. You know, a lot of times people ask me about hell and because of just the lifestyle and what I had, and I always tell people, you know, they didn't bring it up while I was over there, and I darn sure didn't bring it up. And so if anybody wants to know where hell is, I'm going to let them ask that question when they get there. If they didn't talk about it, I certainly wasn't going to talk about it. But I can promise if I didn't go, not many people listening to this show is going.
So there is no hell as far as you're concerned?
I don't believe it.
No. Well, it must have been pretty hellish to see your life, you know, in front of you like that and feel the remorse and sadness.
And the responsibility that we bear. Yeah. We are responsible for making this world a great place to live in. We are responsible for sharing our inner knowledge and our spiritual selves with those that are around us. And why? I don't really know all the reasons for it, but I know that what we do here works in a microcosm so that spirituality can watch these events and take from this experience and help evolve other worlds and other universes. This is like the microcosm of how spirit can react in a mental, material, physical matter. All of a sudden, once this was over, and I was trying to learn how to forgive myself for what I had done, and I just wasn't able to do it because I didn't think I deserved that forgiveness. I just honestly didn't think it. But yet no one ever judged me. Then this being and I, we traveled. We began to move through tones and frequencies and hues and energies. And it was so wondrous what we were going through. And I kept getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And I could feel more power. I came to a place where I knew I was all-knowing, that I had the ability to understand and conceive of all things, and which is a stark difference from who I am now, what an idiot that I am. But we are, as spiritual beings, are capable of conceiving all things and operating in dimensions that we don't even grip. We are heroes. How you know that you're a hero? If you've seen what I've seen and seen who we are, because no one listening is any different than me, than I am. I know who we are and what we look like. We are radiant, powerful beings who, because we chose and were chosen to come here as heroes, we come where angels don't fear to tread. We come and we hold this ground and we evolve in a way that's like a Nautilus commercial, no pain, no gain. But we're here because we chose to come. We know the events that'll be played out, and we play them out so that the world that we live in has a value system in it that is spiritual in a physical, mental dimension. We went through these places that became like mountain ranges, and we came into a place where I could see cities of light, like in a fall evening and in a misty morning, you see the lights from the house radiate from a mountainside. That's what it was like. And as we moved into this city, I was aware of energies that I've never conceived of. I could conceive of a single drop of water, and then I could conceive of its molecular structure. Then I could conceive of that drop of water being the ocean, and as if it was single drops or if it was the entire ocean. And then I can conceive as if there was everything in it, which is so wild when you understand the might and range you have as a spiritual being. And the first thing I was thinking was, why in the world would I have ever wanted a human life?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Why do we come here?
Because first, we choose to come and we're chosen. And we play out these great scenarios, but we can only come for the reward system. There is a reward system, which I'll talk about in a moment.
Yeah.
But when people, a lot of times people say, Dannion, what do you think about people who are skeptical and cynical about what you're saying? I said, well, I get along with them great, for I'm a skeptical, cynical person, and I can deal with it. I hear a lot of people, but people have to pay attention that I haven't been through this twice and spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to tell this story, to get up and be telling them a lie. They must, and they must because the events that were unfolded me in these crystal cities, where I went before 13 beings of light, 12 beings, and then a 13th being that seemed to control it. These beings are where the words honor, great, and heroism, and courage, and awesomeness come from. I'd never seen anything as magnificent as I was watching this. And I had seen some pretty wild stuff in my life.
Now, were they in a hall?
It was a building that was literally built of light. It was like it was made of glass and plexiglass brick, when each had its own energy form and its own nucleus, and it radiated. And the energy that it produced was far greater than the building itself. And as I would watch this, these 12 beings appeared, then the 13th. Then each being would be delegated, like the 13th being would delegate the being. And then this being would begin to radiate. And it would radiate beautiful pastels, colors I have never seen yet on this earth. Never seen them. And it would go and radiate outward. And then it was all that was in the hall. That was all that was there. Then it started back. And as it came, it created an energy form here. And it would send out what appeared to me to be a box. I mean, that's the only way I could describe it. And as the box came, it opened. And as I looked down in this box, I could see like a small screen television. Maybe I died and went to the appliance department in an electronics store. Yeah. Maybe, high-tech heaven. But as these events, as this came, I passed into it, and I was literally standing there. I was a part of watching things going on, and burning, and fire, and bombs, and explosions, and advances in medicine, and science, and world events. And I really didn't know it was the future. I didn't know what it was.
Now, what year was this?
1975.
1975.
September the 17th at 7:05 p.m., 1975. And as I finished seeing these 12 boxes, there came the 13th box. And this being who was literally running everything told me that I would have to go back. And this is what, since I had seen the future events, that I would have to go back. And they wanted me to design this program, which is the most ridiculous thing I'd ever, I'm listening to this, and I'm still Dannion. I'm not completely evolved into a spiritual being. I'm still checking all this out. And it said I had to go back and to prepare this program of what they call the centers, to help people center. And I'm asking why. They said the reality that people have based their faith on, we have a faith-based reality, and that it would soon crumble. Science, religion, governments, institutions would pass away. And we had to have a belief system to build our faith on instead of a faith system that we've built our beliefs on. And that I would be a part, like many others.
Say that again. We need to build a...
We have a faith system.
Yeah.
That we build our beliefs on in the church, in institutions, and in governments.
Yeah.
It will crumble. It is passing away now. We're in bankruptcy as a government. As I watch this, I had to come back and do my part to prepare for the change. Where we are is in nearing economic collapse. The form of government that we use, the two-party system, will pass away. This is the last time we will ever have a two-party system. We will become a multitude of different groups that has to build coalitions. You have to have a coalition to work. And that Americans are seeing the world and our political systems as liars. Why I wrote this book, and it's targeted to baby boomers. To those of us, as we have to face our own mortality, we must help those who we love and who have loved us face theirs.
I want to ask you, do you think was the principal purpose these beings had to tell you? Is that go back there and spread the word that no one dies? Is that your purpose?
Absolutely. My purpose is the body dies. No one dies. And you're not going to go to hell on the whim of what some preacher told you on Sunday. You are not judged and characterized by single moments. And guilt is not the way that should be driven in spirituality. By the time I got to the place to realize that we are all afraid of going home, going to where we came from. Now remember, I've been there twice and talked to over 1,000 people in 10 countries and been with more than 40 people breathing their last breaths. One, my mother. The things that my mother said to me as I chronologue in this book, and if anyone knew my mother, she's going to tell me straight. You think my mother's going to lie to me?
No, she's not.
Absolutely not. She's going to give me the best advice that she can as a loving son that she could possibly give. I want everybody to be afforded the opportunity to go and meet another mother, maybe not their mother, but there's a lot of wonderful, beautiful young ladies that's in their 90s that are waiting for you to tell you some of the coolest stuff you'll ever hear in your life. And if you use the techniques to go down and tell them to tell you their life story and their panoramic, you are giving that person a chance to have a panoramic life review and to tell somebody who wants to hear it and who will sit there and listen for 2 or 3 hours a week. That's all they're asking. And as you get this feedback, you all of a sudden start reviewing your life. You will hear them tell you things, and if you use the synchronistic breathing techniques that I teach in that book, I will teach you how to become spiritually in tuned and psychic, quote unquote. I teach it all the time. I'm able to do it all the time. I've been tested everywhere. I don't have any problems. The moment you're aware that you're a spiritual being.
How do you feel that this helps us to live? Never mind going to hospice, but how does this help us to live?
When you're not afraid of dying, and you watch the wonder, joy, and moments in some really crisis situations, the smiles, the gentle pat on your hand, then the moment you're not afraid of dying, you're really not afraid of living. We are the future. We have the potential, power, and capability to alter all things. All I've tried to do in my books is to give a guideline to trust this. And not only don't trust it from such like follow me blindly. Take the books, read them, look at the world around you, look at the updates, go do a little service work and know that I swear to you, your life will pass before you and you will be the events. And as you look at your life every day as a panoramic life review, have one every evening. Don't wait till you pass.
That's a good idea.
Have a panoramic life review every evening.
How did I do today? Huh?
How did God do today?
Here. If God wasn't there,
and
how should I do today?
If God couldn't be here and God sent you, what good did God do today, you'll be amazed at how it changes your life, how it changes your attitude. And then you can look at the future.
And then you live.
I show you how the guidelines to watch out for, and then you are in a strong, powerful position to make decisions, to live your life, and to help the final days of the ones you love in power.
Dannion Brinkley, what a treat to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here.